Good evening, everyone. We are live. It is 8:30 on Friday evening. My name is Jeremy Webb, and I'm the Artistic Director of Neptune Theatre. Welcome to the last edition of the week of Off the Leash. This is Neptune's way of staying in touch with our audience, with our subscribers, our donors, our colleagues in the Maritimes and further afield. It's good to have you here. Thanks for being here. I have no clue. I can't remember how many episodes this is right now. Of course, we started this way back in March as a way of just staying in touch, as a bit of fun and a bit of silliness. And we will continue. There are plans afoot, reimagining the show and also looking at other content that Neptune Theatre could put out there over the ongoing pandemic. So we'll see what comes of that. My guest this evening, I have had the good fortune to know and have in my life since 2014. He'll correct me in a second if I'm wrong. When he, for some crazy reason, cast me in a show while he was artistic director of Rainbow Stage in Winnipeg. And since then, I have made it a point to try and hang out with him and work with him as often as possible. I love him. I respect him. And I was so excited and moved when on Sunday last week, he announced the formalization of work that he'd been doing for quite a while, and with the creation of a new company, Prime Mover Theatre Company. So I thought it was a good idea to invite him along to be our guest tonight so he could tell us about what he's been doing for the last 10 or so years and about the formalization of this work right now. So please welcome to the live stream. If you're a Neptune audience member, you will have seen his work as he choreographed Mamma Mia. You would have been expecting to see his work, and fingers crossed we still do, with Dreamgirls in Neptune's future. And he, of course, was instrumental in working on our production of Billy Elliot behind the scenes as well. Let's bring him in right now. Please welcome RAY HOGG. Longest introduction ever. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Jeremy.
This is your live.
That is like, I'm expecting dancers to come traipsing through my office.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, let me do that right now. You know what happened is I've listened to too many episodes of Q with Tom Power, where they do those long intros, and I always find them so fascinating because it's like a little encapsulation, and that wasn't scripted. So there we go.
That was great. Thank you.
I improvised just for you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really just so proud to be here.
Well, I am proud that you agreed to come on and talk to us. One of the things I've got to, before we start talking about Prime Mover and the work you've been doing and done, it crossed my mind a month or so ago that you and I, in the middle of this pandemic period so far, were meant to be in Toronto together, doing Neptune's general auditions. And don't tell my wife, but the weeks that we've got to spend together doing that have been some of the most rewarding and fun times that I've had, because, you know, we sit and we see, I don't know, hundreds of people together, and we're sitting close to each other, and we catch up, and then we're working on these auditions, and it's always been so rewarding.
There's a fair bit of giggling.
No,
not at people, but at you. You're very funny.
At me, not with me. At me. And then also we occasionally get to spend a bit of time of an evening having a glass of wine. Have you got one? Well, in that case, I'll have
the props partner. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Yes, mine's a gin and tonic. So.
True to stereotype, I'm having some cava tonight. Yeah. For Joan Yu, the brand.
Cool. So first off, congratulations on the launch of the announcement, I guess.
Thank you.
I think it would be really cool for people to understand first what Prime Mover Theatre Company is all about. Mm-hmm. Then I want to sort of take you back in time and work out how you got to this place, and then look at what Prime Mover is actually going to do. So primarily, what is Prime Mover Theatre Company all about?
Right. Super quick. Prime Mover Theatre Company is really dedicated to amplifying marginalized voices in the theater. And I want to do that in 3 ways. One, advocacy and promotion of artists and their works. So I have an artist database, and then working on developing new works or helping to retool, refine, repackage existing works, original works. We have a very robust artist training program planned out. You know me in education programs. I think it's the key to everything. So from the foundational, story structure 101, what is story, all the way to, when we have lots of funding, legacy commissions, where I'll be commissioning playwrights, master playwrights to write, 3 or 4 plays and premiere them, something along those lines. And then the other arm is about arranging co-productions, not necessarily participating in them, but say gathering Neptune Theatre, Siegel Center, and Royal Manitoba Theatre Center, getting you 3 together with one of those projects that I've nurtured from either inception or, like, at the moment, there's 6 projects on my list. So one of those projects also, hopefully. I know I already have 6.
Wait a second.
That's right.
Send me the list.
One of them, anyway, yeah. One of them you and I have come very, very close to. So I'm
I know.
Yeah. So that's like the
in a nutshell.
Short version. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that really does beg the question, but I want to hold off for a second. So take me back then, because that kind of work that you just described, that's how I've known you. Well, apart from directing and choreographing me back in, it was 2014, right?
13.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that means it's nearly 10 years ago. Oh.
I know. That's yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, a long time ago,
yeah.
when we were both young. But so I know you as that. But then very soon afterwards, as I moved into artistic directing, you'd been artistic directing, and I've only been doing it now for 4 or 5 years officially for other companies. You became kind of a go-to resource for me and for many others. So explain that transition. Let's go back 10 years. Take me back.
Yeah. Well, it goes like even further back, actually. And that is that, so my grandparents and my whole family on the Black side, my father was Scottish, my mother is Jamaican, Black Jamaicans and white Scots. And when my mom's whole family unit emigrated to Canada, my grandmother founded all these service organizations and associations: the Black Women's West Island Association, JAMCAN, the Jamaica Canadian Association. She was very active in her community. Then my mother became a social worker. So and among many other things, and before she passed away, her last job, she was an attaché to the Security Council at the UN. No big deal. So I have always had in my life this model of be of service, do something for others. So that has always been kind of in my brain. Then I as I was figuring out what I wanted to do once I no longer was a dancer, becoming an artistic director became a pretty big priority. But all along, I knew that I had to bring people with me. You know what I mean? As I took on more and more responsibility, and as I had more and more privilege and more and more people listening, really, I felt, and as I continue to feel, a responsibility to bring people that, in my estimation, are enormously talented but face obstacles, bring them along and amplify their voices and really put them into the spotlight. So I if anyone would ask me, oh, hey, do you know a great stage manager? I'd be like, do I ever? And I'd be like, and it's this woman who's incredible. Or someone would say, I'm looking for a play. I'm not sure what to do. I'd be like, well, do I ever? And bit by bit, I began to advise more and more and more people. And then, you and I sort of formally cemented that relationship. We call me the affiliate artist, but I act in sort of an associate capacity, connecting Neptune with people and projects west of Quebec, right? And then I also started doing the same thing for Mitchell Marcus, the musical stage company, recently. So same, connecting him and the company with people and projects. I work a lot in casting with both organizations. Lisa Rubin's another person that we have an ongoing dialogue, which is with all of us. I'd say it's a back and forth dialogue where I say, do you know anybody who can do this? Or, oh, have you heard of this person? And I just realized that it was time to do this for more people and formalize it, crystallize it under one sort of structure.
I have to say that actually you mentioned two names there. Because of your introductions between us, Mitchell and I have now, I'm forever emailing Mitchell and saying, I love that show. Are you going to tour it? Can I get it?
I have it.
And every now and again, what was it? Life After, the musical Life After in Toronto.
So beautiful.
So beautiful, right? And every now and again now I will email him a few months later and say, I still want that show. Can you, and the same with Lisa as well. It really is. But because of your connection there, I now feel that I could probably email them out of the blue. I have an email and I can send them an email, but the fact that we have you in common has been great. So thank you. Awesome. I interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
That's the only time I've ever said that to you. I interrupted you.
No, I'm like, it's fine.
No. Please.
Or I'll be like, yes, you did.
Yeah. What was it we used to say to each other? You give me a great phrase.
Oh, that's borrowed from my sister. That's borrowed from my sister, Kimberly Rampersad, which is "Don't step on my dress" or "Get off my dress."
Yes. So, explain what you mean. So for people.
Well, because we work together in many capacities, but we have also worked together as where I have directed you, and then we've also worked where you have been the director and I've been the choreographer, and those collaborations can be tricky. The lines can get blurred. Particularly, the last thing we did together was Mamma Mia, and there's 13 dance numbers in it. So there were and also an equivalent amount of book scenes. So for the longest time we were apart. Yes. I would always say, listen, if I have done something that is not in alignment with your vision, just say, get off my dress, and I'll shut up and I'll do whatever you want because you're the director. So.
I think I only ever said that to you once in that process. I do remember saying it as well because you told me the phrase and I was like, okay. So I stepped forward and said, right, just leave that one to me. Get off my breath. But most of the time, and you are right, in that rehearsal period, we were in separate rooms because the show was divided pretty down the middle for the acting scenes and the choreo musical numbers. And to be honest, I would always, come in. You'd bring me in when you were ready to show me a number, and I come in and go, okay, that's gonna. Oh, I got to change my thing to be up there to that mood or whatever. So it was great, and that's what collaboration is. So
that's it. Yeah,
that's basically.
And same, and I also had to definitely adjust. You had a very clear vision for the piece, and you were like, you know what, that's too much. That's too much of that. 30% less, please. 30% less. I love a percentage. I think I'll give a note. I'll be like, could you just be faster by 20%?
I do that.
Turn up the volume by
I don't know whether we tell this. I don't know whether we can tell the exact.
It's a family audience, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we can't then. No.
But I took the note.
You did, and it was exactly 20%.
Yeah,
it was 20% less of something, and I'm on it. So thank you. Tell me about your time at Rainbow Stage.
Yeah, that was great.
So how long were you there?
I was there for 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, total.
Yeah.
And I should say we're laughing. You and I are laughing right now, having a good time. And I also recognize that outside of our conversation, outside of my walls, the world is going mad.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's impossible to separate any of our experiences from what's happening in the world.
Yes.
And I was reflecting on, I'm also a parent. I'm married and I have 2 kids, or we have 2 kids. And I was thinking about there's something beautiful about our time in Winnipeg for my family, that it was one of the few times in my life where I was hired for something, and I never thought about my race, never. And that's, I have such gratitude, and I owe so much thanks to that organization for I never felt like my race was a factor in my hiring or my work, and I feel very fortunate for that. And same for living in the city. I have such fondness in my heart and my memories of living in Winnipeg, because my children never felt like the weight of racism. I didn't have to engage the way that most, if not all, Black parents have to engage with small children and sort of end their innocence. I didn't have to do that in Winnipeg. I mean, we are now. My kids are older, 10 and 12, and we have definitely waded into these conversations. We had a really challenging conversation in my house last night. My husband's a white man, and so we had to sort of work through, what does that mean when you're married to and have children who are Black? Does that absolve you of what, as you say, doing the work? And what we ultimately arrived at was no. But the time in Winnipeg, they're like, it's like rose. It was so rosy. I got to put pause on those feelings in my life that have been pervasive, you know. And if I may sort of jump a little bit to Prime Mover Theatre Company and the impulse for starting it.
Yeah.
It's been in my Google Drive for about a full year, so it has not sprung out of nowhere. I'll say that first, right? I've been making plans and doing a strategic plan for the organization and figuring out what are the foundations, what are the pillars that hold this organization up. What like if you turned me and my individual work into an organization, what would that be? So I've been putting a lot of very detailed, careful thought into it for a long time. And I had initially planned to launch it with a co-production. I was slated to direct A Kink in My Hair at the Arts Club. Shout out Ashley Corcoran, amazing artistic director who was bringing me out there to direct that show. And I had gotten 4 artistic directors to agree to come see the show. And I was like, don't come because it's me, come because of the piece, because Trey is amazing, Trey Anthony, the playwright, and because this reworking of the play is really amazing. And I think it's a master Canadian work that's underproduced, and I wanted that to be my first thing, right? My first project for the company. Look, I've gathered these 4 artistic directors; they're all interested, and we are doing this co-production. I'm getting them to do this co-production. Anyway, that didn't happen. So, what my next initiative after that would have been the Prime Mover Artist Database, which is what I've launched. Really, what I've used to launch the company this week, right. Which is in response to the incredible webcast from the Stratford Festival with the incredible, I shouldn't overuse the word incredible, but very, very earnest, honest, open artists, that artist-led discussion. And my heart broke. Something really broke for me in that talk. There are a couple of artists a generation above me, several in my generation, and then several in a younger generation than me. And, you know, in the conversation with my husband last night, I was like, look, these atrocities are not new, okay? No Black person is like, oh my goodness, something terrible's happened to Black people. I mean, we were brought here through atrocities. So we've known this forever. It's the awakening that is shocking and difficult. But I know that the people who paved the way for me, Don Jordan, Walter Borden, Phil Cole, Philip Aiken, these incredible artists, Janet Sears, these incredible brave, trailblazing, like, you know, I try to open the door, they like blasted doors open, and then I got to walk through. And I hope that I'm doing that for the generations coming behind me, right? That I'm creating more space for them to be more authentically themselves and to do their work without the haze of, you know, am I only in this room because of my skin color, or am I you know, there's this constant fog that you have to dissipate all the time to find your work, and I want to help eliminate that. And I thought that I had participated. I thought, okay, I've been this shining example. You can go from you know, Black chorus boy at the Strat, artistic director of a.
Now it looks like Ray is frozen in mid thought. We've never had someone freeze wholly like that. Ray, if you can hear me, he's doing exactly what I
Oh,
said. There you are. You're back.
I was like, I'm going to text you.
No, I know. I was just saying to everyone who was watching, we've never had someone freeze so spectacularly before.
Oh,
and we thought,
how did I freeze?
I don't know. You were like, I don't know what you were doing. You were just there, but it was like right in the middle of a great thought. So
what was I saying? I was saying my heart broke for the young artists.
That's right.
And I felt like, there's a saying that's a nickname for me that's emerging is Uncle Ray Ray. And it's like Uncle Ray Ray sort of reared his head and said, I have to demonstrate, I have to do something. I have to demonstrate to these artists that I have their backs and that I am boosting them and that I have been boosting them. I think, if I got all the people who take my advice, all the artistic directors who take my advice, to make a list of the people who've been working, I think there'd be shock and awe rippled across the country at just how much work I'm booking for people. It's like I should become an agent or something and collect. No, I'm fine. I'm good. I don't need that. But like, no, that's not at all what I need.
That's another thing.
Really, like I said, my roots are in community and in service and in social work, and so I feel compelled to help and to boost. And I also, being a parent, you're a parent, changes how you think of things. You just kind of you look at the little innocent. My kids are innocent. You look at those little innocent troublemakers, if that's the case of the day. But you think, I have to do better for you. And I have launched this thing to officially do this work in front of. I've been doing it behind the scenes, and now I want people to know that it's happening, so that they don't feel so alone.
Yes.
Right.
I'm glad you're saying. I'm glad you're also coming clean that you've been doing it for years, because I really don't think people know.
No, I think it'd be cool to make a list. People, and I think jaws would drop. I think, and that's kind of the point where I say, like, well, it's not about me. It's not about me.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So when you're working with someone like me as an AD in a room, I mean, not me specifically, but do you find yourself becoming exhausted and tired if you have to point out the same things again and again, or get people to open their eyes more, or do you develop a relationship where that's not so necessary first? I don't know how it works.
It's less about.
I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you and what you take on.
Broad shoulders.
No.
I to be honest, it's like I had that mother response of, I'm so disappointed in you. Where I don't necessarily get weariness. I occasionally I feel sadness. Like I actually felt really moved and sad for the young artists that were sharing their experiences in the dressing room and sharing their experiences on the live stream from Stratford. That brought sadness to me that I was not expecting. I'm much more moved. And those of you who know me well know that I am also very mushy and I'll cry very quick. Lisa Rubin is laughing right now because the number of times I just feel like I have to go cry. Sort of run away and have a quick cry. Like I am also fairly mushy, but kids do that to you too. I was so stoic until I had children, and then I just became waterworks all the time.
Yeah.
Look, they're happening right now even.
Yeah.
But I think what happens is I'm so pragmatic. I just want to get the work done that I just go to work. Yeah, the same thing happens over and over again. So I should say it's also not just about actors, right? The Prime Mover Theatre Company. If we talk about the artist database, it's designers. 2 days ago in a meeting, the question was, do we know any black lighting designers? And I was like, I actually don't have a black lighting designer on my roster. So if you're a black lighting designer and you are looking for work, hit me up. You have been specifically requested.
Okay.
So call a brother. Visit primemovertheater.com. Oh, I'm plugging like I'm on RuPaul's Drag Race.
I like it. Hold on.
primemovertheater.com.
There we go.
Fill out the artist database form. and we'll have a conversation and see if you're the right fit. But that's one super specific example. But there'll be things said like, oh, we're looking for a Métis opera singer, and I'm like, well, I know 4. How are you in your community filled with Indigenous artists lost?
Yeah, not aware.
So I sound passionate. That's another fault. Hello, Kava. I mostly just feel disappointment that I'm like, don't you know how to make a spreadsheet? Sometimes I feel like, you could just make a spreadsheet and keep track of all this and be good. Well, I have been. I also have this insane. My father was before IT was called IT. My father was doing IT professionally. So I also have a compulsion to organize and make spreadsheets and document everything.
That's true. That's true. And we at Neptune Theatre have reaped the benefit of that many times. I think Ray's frozen again. Look at that. Good thing I'm talking. I'll finish my point.
We're back.
I know that where I think your notes and preparation for Mamma Mia was legendary in our building because you would itemize everything that you needed. And I know that a lot of choreographers and directors do this, but it was to the point where it was detailed and itemized in chart form, in graph, and it was like it was great. And you didn't know what was going on. Pick up the piece of paper.
Yeah, that's because I have a terrible memory. that's the other thing. Some questionable choices in high school led to a terrible memory. No, I remember on that one. I even for the nightmare sequence.
Oh yeah,
I had it timed out. I was like 30 seconds of black light, 10 seconds of regular light, 27 seconds of.
You sent me a picture of the. I don't have this picture because I think it was your own personal collection here, but this is during the rehearsal period for the nightmare sequence that you're talking about.
Oh, great! Oh, awesome! Yeah, there's our beautifully diverse ensemble in the big picture, and then the 3 smaller ones on the bottom are this insane blacklight sequence that we cooked up, and that you cooked up, my friend. Where we had the cast in morph suits, including Ryan Gifford.
Ryan Gifford, which is a sight to behold. And there was one actor who we will not mention who discovered in that show that she was claustrophobic.
That's right, because of the morph suit.
Because of the morph suit. And look in the front there's Sarah Obrecht, who just had a baby. Yay.
She did.
And Natasha Strilchuk, who just assistant directed for me. Right
and
there.
Had a birthday recently?
Did she? Yes, she did. I think so. Yeah. Anyway, great group. I just wanted to show that because you mentioned the nightmare sequence.
Yeah. So that I have been sort of a documenter and a spreadsheet maker, which has served me well and sort of brings me peace. Julie. I felt so safe with Julie in there. I love that she says that I'm like, I felt taken care of. I felt like a rock star. I felt like I could do no wrong. Even when she was, one day KB, Karen Birthright, said, "It's not cats." It was a very, very choreographed Super Trooper. It was full on the Jallo Cabal.
Was it? Was that another one of your?
No, that was another one. No, okay. But there was just a lot of this.
None of that.
That one was very watery. Anyway.
Yes.
So it's not sadness. I feel, like I said, disappointment. And I also want to be specific. It's not disappointment in people. So I'm not going like, "Oh, Jeremy, why are you asking that same question again?" Right. It's more that we have this structure, this system. Philip Aiken so eloquently said that is broken, but there's this thing that exists, and I have become an expert and a scholar of white systems and how to beat the system, right? And I think what we are asking white people PS to do right now is to also become scholars.
Yes.
Right. It's your turn we haven't had to read articles. We just had to walk down the street. But you have to now read articles to become as adept at navigating as we have been so that you no longer inadvertently, so that your actions will match your intentions.
Yes.
Because I don't believe that the people close to me have bad intentions, but many of the people close to me, including my father, who's a white Scottish man who's passed away, the people close to me who are white just have never even realized that they needed to learn a system, right? I'm kind of going all over the place here, but anyway,
I like it.
I really encourage people to become. I'm disappointed in that structure, and that we haven't yet like broken it open, which is, I hope so much. I'm nervous about this not panning out, but I hope that that's what we're doing right now, is cracking that structure so that we all can look at it and say, that is a bunch of garbage. Let's, keep this, lose that, make some choices, work together, listen to more voices, invite more voices into the conversation, and build a new structure that we can all become experts at. Until we have that, I and this company, Prime Mover Theater Company, are here for those artists who haven't yet learned how to navigate, right? I'm a pro at like making my way through white institutions. I got that. I figured that one out, right? Kimberly, she's my like soul sister. She's a pro. She knows how it works. She's got it. But like, if you're monstrously talented, like Kimberly has such enormous talent, and you're like 18, 19, 20, 30 maybe, and there have been no systems in place, nothing has helped you. So you look at it and you just see this, yes, right? You just see the wall. Until we really all break it down, I am here to help you pierce that veil, pierce through, and I'm going to help you find the way. Sometimes I'll push you.
Yes.
I'm also fairly strong-willed. I'll push you into what you want to be.
And do you see it part of your role now with this company to also push the people that you've been working with within these institutions, within our I'm not going to separate myself here, within our institutions, because I've seen the work you do, and I've benefited and grown and still screw up, but I feel that crack. I feel that that crack. But
this is maybe going to sound like the wrong answer, but whatever, it's the true answer. While I have a forceful personality and I am decisive, I am not divisive. Did I pronounce that right? I don't believe in dividing.
Right.
And I actually really do not like confrontation. It makes me very uncomfortable. So I think what I do well is advocate for excellence, right? And well, this is sounding wishy-washy. I don't need to sound wishy-washy. I guess what I'm saying is I don't really feel like it's my job to like have answers and to solve everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm identifying this one really important thing, which is to help people navigate.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, the dominant culture, white people in theater have given me their ear, are listening. So I don't need to like,
no,
I'm not breaking, I'm not fighting anything, right?
No.
But I will say, hey, there's like no women in this team, or we have a company, sure, but we're missing some diversity in this company. Or why is everybody so skinny? I was as round as I was tall when I was approaching in my 10 to 13, and I certainly never saw anyone that looked like me. So it's like, when I say marginalized voices, I also want to be clear that I'm not just saying people of color, right? Like, I'm talking about, we need those real figured women, and men. We need people who look like what my children might grow up to be, who look like me now that I'm no longer a twiggy, leggy chorus boy. We all need to see ourselves out there, right? Like, I'm so excited by the casting for Billy Elliot, where there, I'm going to step out of the bubble. And some of the conversation was, while we need men who can execute the choreography, we also want to have a real range of types, so that what we're seeing is a real community, and not like a like a model community, a community of like male models, right? Like that sure, there's going to be like the couple of handsome guys. Every neighborhood has them.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm the handsome guy in my neighborhood. No, but like, every neighborhood has them.
Yeah.
But we want to show our own audience themselves.
Yes.
So for me, that includes body types that are for no damn good reason left out. That includes women in key positions of power. That includes men and women of color. That includes trans voices, which is if I'm frustrated about one thing, it's that I'm frustrated about the lack of trans representation in all facets of life.
Yeah.
And that one gets me really riled up.
Yes.
This willful, again, I keep doing this, like that we as a society have put up these walls and pretend that these people don't exist, and allow ourselves to laugh and mock and behave as if it's okay in 20, and I'm like, damn it, that's a person.
Yeah.
Anyway, that one got me. That one got me really. I have a lot of feelings about that. So, I'm like,
no.
You and people like you, for whatever reason, will like call me up and listen when I talk. So I'm also not gonna pick fights, right? There's something printing behind me.
Oh, good.
Exciting.
I hope it's somebody faxing you with their resume right now.
Let's see, what is it? Oops.
No, don't read it out, just in case.
Oh no, it's the printer update. It's completed. Okay.
Oh,
thank you, printer.
I really understand and appreciate what you're saying. I obviously maybe because of what's left of my accent, I grew up in the UK, and which is a whole different ball of mess. But the thing for me, when I went through theatre school and when I watched TV in the UK, the theatre school I went to in Bristol, everyone was very real shaped. And we used to joke all the time that the folks that went to some of the theatre schools in London, which I won't name, were always the ones with the 28-inch waist, and they were gorgeous. And then there was the rest of us. And we went to Bristol and we became the real people. And then I was watching soap operas, EastEnders and things, shows like that, Coronation Street, where everyone's kind of like jowly and real. And, they've got a belly on them and they talk like that. And then you watch this is back in the 80s when I became aware of television and soaps and things. You watch the American soaps and everyone was
they're male models. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it didn't seem, and it's not real. So I really take that to heart now, and over the last couple of years in casting shows. I want to make sure, like you say, that if I sat in the audience and everyone had a 28-inch, or if all the guys had a 28-inch waist, I'd be like, yeah, you're great. Okay. Oh, you're acting now. Good. But I want to see
the part for me.
Around me. Yeah. But that's, so cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, we just joked about somebody faxing me their resume. I want to make sure we touch upon.
Are you going to make fun of my email addresses?
No. I mean, somebody else online emailed, posted that you've now got another email address to add to your.
I do. I have very many. But go on. I give you permission. Talk about my.
Oh, you really want me to?
I give you, because it cracks me up too.
Okay, everyone. We noticed about 2 years ago that Ray Hogg still had. Now, people that still have this, do not take offense. Okay? I'm about to alienate 25 people in the whole country. He still was using a Yahoo email account, which I used to use 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And you were clinging on to it, and we got you finally to activate or switch to a Gmail. Yeah. Which is so much safer, I believe. I'm not a technical person, so I don't know.
Certainly a lot easier.
Right? Anyway, but we used to tease you about that.
Yeah. It's true. What were you going to say? Talking about faxes.
No, I've totally forgotten now. I've totally forgotten.
Fax machines. Ray Hogg is older than dirt. No.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're on it. You're on it. You've got me on focus. So I'm sure that maybe right now or maybe over the next few days, some artists will watch this and say, "Well, okay, Ray, let's see what you can do for me." Or so just explain again the process now for artists, whether they be stage managers, designers, anyone in the just the theater industry, question mark, ooh, okay, you go.
All right. One of my dearest, most best friends on earth, his name is Brandon Hall, and he is an agent at Sutherland Model Agency. And we got into a very important conversation together, because Sutherland Models was appalled by what's happening, and they wanted to take action. They have a fairly large roster of like star models, but also a lot of Black models who broke their silence of arriving on set and having no one who could do their hair or no one who could do their makeup, which echoed this conversation I was having with one of my favorite music theater performers, Vanessa Cobham, who is a stunningly gorgeous woman, an incredible talent, but also has to show up to work, and she does a lot of film and TV, done. She shows up with her makeup done and her hair done every single time, because she does not want to run the gamble that when it's time for the close-up, her face is gray or green or something, right? And like 9 times out of 10, there's no one to do her makeup or her hair. So my friend Brand, one of the things Sutherland was talking about, and I'm not speaking officially for that company, but one of the pieces of conversation that he was asking is like, what do you think if we tried to find makeup artists and hair and wig designers, hairstylists who are trained to do Black hair and Black makeup? And I was like, better yet, why don't you find and train some people who are Black to do that work? Because guess what? There's this insanely huge Black hair industry. So definitely I have space and inclination to include hair and makeup artists. Absolutely. So it's not just the theater. Dancers, one of the first people on the artist database is a dancer named Nicole Rose Bond, who's extraordinary. I think that her first gig was with me, like the first time she ever performed. Maybe I was like her partner or something. Maybe it's foggy. There's a lot of old dance partners that I've had, but she's a contemporary dancer and she's phenomenal. So she's on the roster. So really, again, if you feel like in the performing arts, composers, writers, conductors, a colleague from way back when wrote and said, he had studied, a fellow named Ted Runcie. He had studied composition and conducting, but he works in the classical music sphere. He's not necessarily working in the theater, but he's conducting in concert halls. And I'm like, well, then you belong in this group because you are in the minority, right? You are not completely without peers, but boy, is it a super small group of people. So I am absolutely looking to expand in those ways to include anybody. And I using this hashtag join the movement, because I feel like that's what we're creating here, right? There it is, the source of power for propulsion, right? That we are going to come together as a group, joining this movement of these voices that are unbelievably talented, right? And have a range of joy, sorrow, vitality, suffering, everything you could imagine that you would want to see on stage is there in this enormous community that's being left out. So I'm trying to create this movement where we can all come forward. So on my website, on the company website, www.primemovertheater.com, there's a form. What's that?
I said, there it is.
Oh,
okay.
There it is. There's a web form, and you fill out the form. Your info comes straight to me, and you go into my personal database. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that I don't know, and I think one of the important things, because in an interesting way, there are 2 users of this database: that artist who wants to be heard, and that artistic director who's looking for a really high quality performing artist, or a high performing artist. So it is not Facebook, right? You can't just, I'm not just, because you've emailed me, I'm not necessarily going to throw you up on the database. This is the hard part to say, that I really am looking for exceptional talents. So if you believe you are exceptional, and if you believe that you have your voice, your artistic voice has not been heard, then I really want to hear from you, right? And we will engage in some sort of conversation. And from that conversation, we'll decide if being on the database is the right place for you, or maybe you have a work that you want to develop and you don't need to be on the database at all. We just need to work on your piece, whatever it is, but that we'll enter into some sort of dialogue together. So the first step is to go to the website and fill out that form so I can kind of get a bunch of information about you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. It's great. It's so cool. It's so cool.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, I remember we spent some time a year or so ago doing a little project together called "It's All About You." Where, do you remember when we spent a couple of days meeting with artists that wanted some FaceTime with an AD? Now, for the last years of my career, I've been an actor or a director and occasionally a really bad writer wanting to get FaceTime with an AD, and I found it difficult, and acknowledging my privilege. So what I wanted to do and what you helped facilitate was sitting down face to face. It's not about me right now. It's all about you. And this feels like it's in that family. When I came to Winnipeg and worked for you, tell us just very briefly, because I've kept you for so long. I apologize, but I'm sorry, not sorry.
No.
Tell me, because you inspired me. So when I took over Neptune 2.5 years ago, we created the Chrysalis program, which is a mentorship training program for artists who are trying to bolster, move into a new phase of their career. Not necessarily young artists, but certainly, artists that I really don't like the word emerging, but I'll use it here for a descriptor. But I saw you do that in Winnipeg. So tell me about that.
Okay. Always credit where credit is due. Two things. One, Philip Aiken, who is leaving his incredible tenure at Obsidian Theatre Company. He describes young and experienced. You could be any age, right? Like you could be a 50-year-old actor who suddenly is like, I have to choreograph or I have to direct. And so you have lots of art in your, you have a body of work, but you're a young and experienced director. So that's a beautiful thing that he says, which I think is very respectful of artists of all ages. The other is it's actually one of Philip's programs, the now defunct mentorship and apprenticeship program at Obsidian Theatre Company that I modeled my programs on. And so I had this two-tier apprenticeship and residency program where if you were the director of the show, you'd have a resident director working under you, and they worked for the whole season. And then under the resident director was an apprentice director, and the resident was mentored by the director, but also was the mentor of the apprentice. So it was two tiers, because I spent a lot of time teaching in the college system in Ontario, post-secondary, and practical learning is super important for me. And I learned so much about my own artistic practice by teaching others how to develop theirs. So I figured, you know what? If I take a young and experienced director and say, teach an even younger experienced director how to do what you do, you will gain so much clarity. And, not to claim others' excellence, because like they have light in them that's so bright. But my two very first resident artists, Kimberly Rampersad, Associate Artistic Director of the Shaw Festival, Carson Natras, my successor at Rainbow Stage, current artistic director. Right. Another one is Paul Diggers. Another one's Joseph Tritz. So they've gone off to have these insanely massive careers, right? Add them to the list. Right? that magic list we're going to start. But this idea, not because of anything, the thing that I did was open the door and say, step through, take this opportunity. For Paul got to work with 3 different music directors in one season. One of which was Jeffrey Heward, who has opened 7 Broadway shows as a conductor, music director. Like that kind of experience is invaluable. And Paul is he's an amazing music director, right? And he, in part because he got to learn on the job from the best. So that's one of the types of training programs that this brain of mine conceives. But I will say it was inspired by Philip's program, because I was part of that program. Yeah. And what Obsidian did was they matched me with Jackie Maxwell. Oh. So Jackie was my mentor at the Shaw Festival, and I assisted her on Ragtime. Right. And then bless her beautiful soul, when it was done, after 2 or 3 months of rehearsal, and I was like, okay, well, I'm out. She was like, wait, what are you doing for the next 2 months? And I was like, I don't know, whatever you want me to do. Why?
Yeah.
And then she had me stay on and work on Come Back Little Sheba, and I got to choreograph it or movement direct, whatever you want to call it, which was a very big moment for me, you know. And so I realized that somebody needs to help. As you said, you know, you are very talented as well, so you open some doors for yourself, but there needs to be some help there. And I'm prepared, I'm equipped, I'm passionate about it, I'm very excited to do this work, and it feels like a compulsion. Like, it feels like I have to. It would be weird for me not to, you know.
Wow. Look, the time has flown. Obviously, we haven't got to hang. Cheers. We haven't
Cheers.
got. I knew you were reaching for your glass. We haven't got to hang out this year very much. So
yeah,
but
I know I miss you.
Yeah, you too. I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story and talking about Prime Mover, but also coming on at this time and talking about Prime Mover. I think it's really important, and I hope that people come to you and join you, and I hope that people in my position across the country give you a call now and start talking to you as well, and just start talking, period. Because
and like use the resource, like it's literally being built for you. So
thanks for being here. We're going to wrap it up. Ray, stay exactly where you are while I just talk to the audience for a second. Okay. I want to thank you for watching. We will announce next week's lineup probably at the beginning of next week. We're running the show Tuesday to Friday next week again. We're just lining up the guests right now. It's very exciting. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for your ongoing connection and support. We appreciate it. Wherever you are, please stay safe, and please just stay in touch with each other and with us as well. Ray, take care. I'm going to play the title sequence because then it makes it feel like a TV show.
All right.
We can dance to it. Hold on. See you everyone. See you next week.
Bye.